there's so many ways to access some form of bliss. There's countless ways to access some form of bliss. And I could just say, okay, bliss is the natural quality of being, of awareness, when it's not contracted into some condition or some sense of responsibility or some sense of limitation. It's the natural state of the creator, its own oneness. It's that initial energy that emerges from the one, of it knowing itself and experiencing itself. So you could say it's all pervasive, it's your natural state and so forth. But the ways in which we access that experience can be more or less distorted. It can be very partial. It can come through certain interpretations and so forth. So I'm just kind of seeing if I can sort of distill some of the main ways that we tend to access bliss and what the differences are. But then at the same time, I don't want to get too technical or intellectual with this. Should you pursue it, first of all? Well, I'm not here to tell you what you should desire, right? So whatever you desire is entirely yours to desire. Do you desire bliss?
Mike.
His name is Steven.
I'm going to call him Mike. He's more
That's true.
Okay, that will be my new name.
We've given Steven a new spiritual name.
Yeah, Mike. Written M-I-C.
Short for Michelangelo.
Yeah, M-I-C, yeah, right. It's not necessarily that I think I need to be in bliss or but it's more like I would think it to be an indicator of where I'm at.
In a sense, yeah.
And in that sense, if bliss would mean, then words get tricky also. But as an indicator, yes. But bliss for bliss itself is not something I pursue.
Cool. I think overall that's a fairly healthy approach. Yeah. However, I would suggest you find in yourself where you do desire bliss, because it's essentially a desire for source. So that's why I say, instead of fact-checking things, start to bliss fact your approach. Start to bliss fact your thoughts. Start to bliss check. Right? Not fact check, but bliss check your thoughts and so forth. And you can use the emotional guidance system to that. And you could say, the closer to sort of the peak of being aligned with the way that your true beingness is viewing things, if your view is in alignment with that, you're going to sort of be receptive to more and more of that energy, which you could call bliss. However, often we could make a distinction between the bliss that is more like an excitement, that is a reaction to freedom in the moment from something you've thought yourself bound to prior. Because every time you have that moment of release, initially there's also the reaction to that with like, oh my God, I'm free, it's so amazing, it's so beautiful, love light, oh my God, right? It's the personality going crazy over its own meditation. You know? So it's like, oh my God, I'm blessed. And then if you try to pursue that, well, good luck. That's going to fuck you up. So don't pursue it like that as a reaction. Because as a reaction, you could say it's more of an excitement of the personality at the first sight of its freedom, as it remembers its freedom, or its peace even. And the reaction to that, oh my God, I'm not affected by what I thought I was bound to. The bubble has popped. So yes, you might be accessing that deep bliss, which is timeless and peaceful as well as blissful. But the reaction to that, although perfect and beautiful and definitely an indicator that you're on the right track and that you realize something truer than what you were realizing before. So it's definitely an indicator in that sense. But the sort of hyper bliss tends to happen as you move from a denser state of consciousness to a lighter, higher density state of consciousness. That transition of that catalyzes a certain bliss that's perhaps more expressive, you could say. It's an interpretation of the person. It's a delight at seeing its reward or seeing its freedom. You know what I mean? So that one kind of comes and goes. because that depends on what shift you're making. And then the more you move your baseline up, the more that same level of freedom or emptiness, or I'm not affected by anything, or I'm not what I thought I was, or starts to kind of like settle into sort of a very deep bliss, which we could somewhat call peace. It's like a deeper, peaceful bliss. Now you can still amp up if you absorb more into that. That can again radiate into through the pores, if you will, with an energy that you could call maybe ecstatic.